The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. A special shout out to Mr. Nelson and Ray Green for your support that you are giving to my channel. I appreciate you all. In the pursuit of justice, no stone can be left unturned. Today, we are discussing a topic that has sparked intense debate across West Africa and the international community. Recent discussions led by thinkers like Professor Franklin have brought attention back to a series of international files that many are calling the Abidjan Connection. This isn't just about one person or one administration. It is about global standard of accountability and whether the same rules apply to everybody, regardless of their status or connections. Those who are liking, sharing, commenting, I say thank you so much for always choosing the latest, and the support that you give to the channel gives me so much strength. I want to say a special thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you. For years, the world has been unraveling the dark network of a late financier, Jeffrey Epstein. While much of the focus was on the West, Professor Franklin, various reports have pointed to a specific link in Ivory Coast. At the center of this discussion is a relative of the current leadership, Nina Keta. Allegations have surfaced in the files suggesting her presence in these international circles during the mid-2000s. The question being asked is, what was the nature of these meetings and why were these connections affiliated on Ivorian soil?
Delegate of Olusegun Rahman Ouattara to the Zionist and imperialist monster Epstein. Let's look at the particular role that the prostitute played, whom Olusegun Rahman Ouattara placed at the head of Ivory Coast soil. So, you have well understood why Olusegun Rahman Ouattara appointed his niece Nina Keta at the head of the Ivory Coast oil sector. He appointed her to reward her for the services she rendered him. She rendered him a double service. First, she allowed him to get in touch with the Mossad agent, who, through his famous pedocriminal videos, already held most of the American political class by the currency of blackmail. She allowed Olusegun Ouattara to enter into contact thus with an agent of what is called the American Deep State. That is to say, the American Jewish lobby, which in reality controls most of the United States policy, and which, through the control of United States policy, controls European policy, and which, through the control of European policy, aims to control world policy. So Olusegun Rahman Ouattara grants this niece Nina Keta fundamental importance. Now let's try to understand why Olusegun Rahman Ouattara grants so much importance to this niece, the famous Nina Keta. He grants this importance to Nina Keta because Nina Keta is his ambassador to Jeffrey Epstein. And Jeffrey Epstein is a Mossad agent. That is to say, a centerpiece of the American deep state. That is to say, of the American Jewish lobby, which controls American policy, which controls European policy, and which aims to control world policy. So, for Olusegun Ouattara, Nina Keta is an ambassador to the power of demons, to the dark power. Towards the dark power, he needs Olusegun Rahman Ouattara to be in contact with the Westerners who dominate the world. And his niece literally brings him a marvel. The Mossad agent, Jeffrey Epstein, who managed to corrupt a large part of the American political class, a large part of the European political class, is, in fact, someone who has power over America, who has power over Europe, and who has power over the West. Now, Olusegun Rahman Ouattara, who is a neo-colonized Negro, who is an extremely racialized mind, Olusegun Rahman Ouattara, who in reality is a pathetic inhabitant of Uncle Tom's Cabin, dreams of nothing but this type of relationship. Someone said it was the former Ivorian Prime Minister Charles Konan-Benny. Olusegun Rahman Ouattara does not conceive of human relations other than in terms of submission. He has no friends. He is either the dominant or the dominated. And Nina Keta puts him in touch with Epstein. And Ouattara behaves as Epstein's subordinate. He does Epstein's every bidding. This is how he will systematically exploit Ivorian public procurement. He will make them available to Americans recommended by Epstein. Through his niece, Nina. He will make his public contracts, of course, quite naturally, available to French multinationals, insofar as they are compatible with the influence of the American Jewish lobby embodied by Jeffrey Epstein. Have you understood why Ouattara did that? But, honestly, when he parachuted his niece, Nina Keta, to the head of the Ivorian refining company, to the head of Petrochi, etc., we were intrigued, thinking to ourselves, well, yes, Alassane Ouattara governs with family. It's not surprising. But we wondered why he gave such importance to this woman. Why did he put her in such a strategic position, even if she were his niece? Because Alassane Ouattara has many other nieces. He has many other nephews. Why this one in particular? Now, we understand the solved enigma. Nina Keta is the ambassador of Alassane Romano Ouattara to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Jeffrey Epstein is a fundamental agent of the Mossad, which itself is a centerpiece of the American Jewish lobby. And this American Jewish lobby is the heart of the American deep state, which controls the policy of the United States, controls European policy, therefore Western policy, and it is a lobby that weighs on world politics. In this lobby, for example, we find the great financial and banking family of Rothschild. Ariane de Rothschild is cited in thousands of documents as being one of Epstein's accomplices, because she is deeply passionate about satanic rituals. By obscenity, by perversity. She is passionate about cruelty. So, Alassane Demanoutra is fond of this type of relationship, because Alassane Demanoutra is a narcissistic pervert. He is a man who considers cruelty as a form of power. Alassane Demanoutra exists through evil. He exists for evil and he comes from evil. It therefore seems necessary to him to always be in contact with the worst types on earth, because he believes that is how he can consolidate his power. That is the enigma of Nina Keta, friend of Epstein. So, that Nina Keta is a prostitute, there too. There is no doubt. That Nina Keta is a pimp, there too. There is no doubt. If Ivory Coast were a state of law, if Ivory Coast were a normal country, Nina Keta would already be arrested. She would already be brought before a judge and condemned for what she has done. Because Ivorian law prohibits pimping. Ivorian law prohibits prostitution. Ivorian law prohibits criminal associations. Nina Keta, one can find at least 10 reasons to arrest her. Bring her to justice. Convict her and imprison her. Here are people who walk freely in Abidjan, while their place is in the MACA prison. It can be established that Nina Keta is a prostitute. It can be established that Nina Keta is a pimp. That is to say, a person who trades in human beings for sexual motives. It can be established that Nina Keta is an associate of criminals. Since Epstein is a wrongdoer, a criminal, she is an accomplice to crime. The crimes that she committed. Nina Keta bears the responsibility. There are at least 3 reasons for which Nina Keta must be arrested, brought to justice, judged, convicted and imprisoned. But Ivory Coast is not a free country. Ivory Coast is a colonized country. Alassane Ouattara and his family, with the support of French neocolonialists, and now, as we have understood, Zionists, Alassane Ouattara has organized the occupation of Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is a country occupied by a criminal family, a mafia family, which has denied its Burkinabe origins and has become today the enemy. Number 1 of peace and security even for Burkina Faso. Its country of origin, a family that tries to conspire with the worst French neocolonialists, notably since Paul-Stéphane Sarkozy of Naguib-Boksha, the destroyer of Libya, the assassin of Gaddafi, until today, Macron. We are dealing with a family that is associated with the American Jewish lobby, and in particular with one of the greatest criminals, one of the greatest monsters that the earth has ever carried, Jeffrey Epstein. It is this family that governs Ivory Coast. This is the situation in Ivory Coast. In a normal country, Nina Keta would not have spent a night after the revelations, and if France were a state of law, Nina Keta would be wanted, because the Epstein files indicate that she organized the criminal activities, the prostitution activities for Epstein in France, that she organized his procurement in France, that she delivered human beings, human flesh to Epstein, in France, not only in the United States, not only in Ivory Coast, at the Hotel Ivoire in a presidential suite. She did it in France, in the United States and in Ivory Coast. Nina Keta, do you measure the degree of baseness, of ignominy with which we are dealing? Is it that you measure to what point Satan H has taken hold of Ivory Coast with Ouattara?
In any democracy, the strength of the law is measured by impartiality. The suspense growing in the Ivory Coast isn't just about the past, it is about the present. People are asking why these specific reports haven't been met, with the same level of local investigation we see in other parts of the world. As the proverb says, the law is a spider's web. It catches the small files, but lets the wasps break through. For a nation to move forward in sovereignty, there can be no untouchable. Transparency is the only way to heal a public trust. To my anonymous supporters, I appreciate the love you are showing to the channel. I say thank you for all the things that you do in order to keep the latest moving. This brings us to a larger geopolitical point. When internal secrets are held by foreign entities, it creates leverage. Professor Franklin urges that as long as these files exist in the shadows, a nation's sovereignty is at risk. This is why we see a different energy in places like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. They are demanding a clean state and a rejection of the old networks of influence. The Sahel is showing that true independence requires the courage to face the truth no matter what uncomfortable it may be. We are not here to judge, but to ask the questions that lead to a stronger Africa. The Abidjan files represent a moment where the people are asking for clarity, because as the proverb says, truth is like oil. No matter how much water you pour on it, it will always rise to the top. Africa is changing. The days of secrets managing our destiny are coming to an end. What do you think is the best way for a nation to handle sensitive allegations involving high-ranking figures? Should there be an independent regional commission? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into African sovereignty. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Abidjan.